Hi, I'm Ryan for Ryan's Guitar Stuff. This is my third time recording this video because first time I did it I was playing electric and the video dragged on. Second time was I realised you can't really hear the electric on the video because I'm not micing it. So yeah, so I'm doing a new thing on the channel called Monday Theory for the pure reason that I'm stressed with college, too much work, guitar repairs, a lot of them, actually a good few have come up in the last week or two. So videos have been delayed. Monday, like Wednesday's video just gone, didn't come out because I didn't have time, and other stuff like that between work and other stuff. Anyway, so theory. So today's video is going to be the circle of fifths and how to use it in a system of songwriting, for example. So, i.e., how to read the circle of fifths, or for people that don't know how to read the circle of fifths. So, if we start in the circle of fifths, which would usually start on 1, which would be C, for example, and go to the next incremental note in the circle of fifths, which would be G. That is an interval of 5. So you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, in saying that, if you go up another fifth to D, you'll get the next fifth. Now, the reason I'm stating this is that's how you will go around the circle of fifths. Some people remember the circle of fifths, i.e. by letters going around the circle. Some people, like myself, would go, oh, that's a fifth, that's a fifth, that's a fifth, you know, that kind of thing. A fifth away from a note is a power chord, and the power chord is one of the first chords you learn when doing music. And to go backwards through the circle of fifths, for example, if you were wanted to find out how far, say, F was away from C, it's only one fifth or a fourth. The way you're able to tell a fourth is by, it's a reverse of a power chord. So instead of the low note going up to a higher note, which would be a fifth above, you can go backwards with the high note being your root note, the note that you want to go to. And if you wanted to go backwards to F, for example, it's a fourth away, or a fifth. It's a fourth away from C and a fifth away from F. In total, it's 9, and that's how far stuff is away from each other. So that's how you can read the circle of fifths, and that's how far notes are away from each other. They're usually in fourths or fifths away, depending on which way you're going. If you're going clockwise around the circle of fifths, they are a fifth away. If you're going anti-clockwise, they are a fourth away. Now, using it in the music theory concept, the way you would use it is by modulation, a chord progression. And by modulation, what that means is key change. And key change can be done in many things. And the most cliche version is a semitone up, usually at the end of a song. A good example of this would be any pop song in the last 20 years that has a go up at the end of a song. One that always springs to mind for me, because I actually like the song, is Surrender by Cheap Trick. Because they do this thing of like starting the song of going so is it? Yeah. And then for the last verse and chorus of the song, it goes. Oh, sorry. It takes a semitone up, so that is a key change, and that is a modulation. Not a very drastic modulation, but at the same time still modulation, and relative to the circle of fifths. It is so going from C to C sharp or D flat. That is actually a very drastic key change. That is nearly all the way around the circle of fifths. But since it's only a semitone, but it keeps the same chord progression, and if the whole band does it at a certain timing and all, it's actually not that hard. But if you were to do chord wise, what I'm about to show you, going around the circle of fifths, it's quite difficult. So, for example, if we do, say, a chord progression of C to E minor to A minor to F, that as a chord progression, that's a 1, 3, No, hold on. Let's go 1, 5, 2 to 4. So I need to write this down for a second, just so I have it in front of me. So that is 1, 1, 5, 2, and 4. So by that, it means the chords associated with the key. For example, the way you would associate chords with a key will be major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and then diminished. I'm not going to play diminished, but it's a diminished chord is the next one. And your 7th is always diminished. So, say if we went to G major then, okay? The next key change, which would be 1 for a G major, and we could do, say, to a 4, which would dominate that kind of crossover period, then to A minor, so that would make it a bit more blurred, but bring it in on the B minor then. So that would be the 3. Now, the thing is, the first 3 chords of that progression, of the second progression, the G, the C, and the A minor, are in the key of C, but that last chord, B minor, isn't. So that is the key change solidified at that moment. So for example, the chord progression would be doesn't work, but that's the concept itself. A better way of doing it would be for me to sit here for a second and actually think of chord structure and chord relations to keys. So give me a minute and I'll come up with something better. So I figured out the chord progression there. If we start off on C, which is the 1, and then go to an E minor, then go to a D minor, then to a G. Okay? That is your 1, 3, 2, 5. The second to the 5th chord is usually a very common use thing of going to the D minor to the 5th chord. And another thing that I've done in this, and you'll see in a minute, if you loop that first section, the 5 wants to pull back to the 1 chord. So the next thing you would do is, if you were going to G major, you would see what chords are similar in that, but what you can shift at the same time. So for example, if I was doing that's the key change there. That D chord isn't in C, it's actually a D minor. So that is the key change established there, but it fits into the song. So that's how you would use the circle of fifths to go between keys in the song. Other things you can do with it, you can use it for doing more elaborate key changes. I'm not going to demonstrate here because the video could be too long for doing this. But if you want to go from C to A, and there's very few chords that are shared between them. I'm looking at them now, and there is no chords shared between them. And that's the reason why it's a very difficult thing to do. Going between key changes more than like one step or 2 steps. So going from C to G is easy because there's only one sharp in the difference. Going C to G, C to D is a bit more tricky because there's 2 sharps involved. And the further you go around the circle of fifths, the more you will realise this. But yeah, Circle of fifths is a very key thing to keep in a music theory mind. And especially if you're wanting to do song composition where you take a key change in the song. And it also helps people write their songs. It helps people think about where a song can go as well. I've used the circle of fifths without realising it, and now since I've realised it, it's actually made songwriting a lot easier. So I hope this has been a helpful video, and see you next time. Bye.